Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I am here on the show, and I am here to talk about the Thursday night football game between the Atlanta Falcons and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Man, what a collapse by Tampa. They were up about, 28-14 in this ball game. And Atlanta scores the final 15 points, outscores them 15-0 to end the ball game here. The Atlanta Falcons getting crushed at home by Seattle, eliminated from the playoffs, then going on the road and winning a game against a team that had everything to play for. The Buccaneers tied for first place in that division. Though they'd lost to the Saints, they still had a lot to play for. And is why betting on football is hard if you bet football. But the Bucs have lost 5 of their last 6 and had every chance to close this game out versus the Falcons. But they still very much control their own fate because they play the Panthers twice, so they still control their own fate. Both teams do. But, I mean, the Bucs just aren't playing good. I mean, they lose to New Orleans, now they lose to Atlanta. Both teams eliminated from playoff contention, obviously. But if the Panthers can beat the Saints on Sunday, they would clinch the NFC South by winning one of their 2 games versus the Bucs. So, gotta beat the Saints and then beat the Falcons one of their 2 games. But, and just Panthers just need to beat the Saints, and the Bucs won one of their 2 times. But Baker Mayfield for the last month though has just not played great. He threw a bad interception there in the 4th quarter as well when it was 28-20. Raheem Morris kind of questioned the 2-point attempt. Like, still going to question it, even though they won the game. The second one, no, you had to go for 2. The first one I thought was kind of unnecessary to force where you had to go for 2, but luckily their defense was able to get a stop. And then Kirk Cousins was clutch those last 2 plays to get some yardage back on 3rd and 28, and then got that 4th and 14 to Davis Seals. But Kirk Cousins won him this ball game, Kyle Pitts. Kirk Cousins and Kyle Pitts. But Baker Mayfield for the last month has just looked bad. I don't know if it's because he's still hurt or what. He looked so good early in the season, and then he's just really fallen off after that. But the Raheem, and there was the offensive lineman. There was a key fumble, I believe it was, on that touchdown drive that made it 28-26. There was a fumble that was recovered by the offensive lineman. And Baker just didn't play well tonight. He had a bad interception there in the 4th quarter, and he had the late interception, and he misses a key throw to Igbuka. If that's a better throw, Igbuka catches that. But on that fumble, also, 2nd and 10, they were like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 5 or 6 Buccaneers around the football, and they don't recover it. Somehow, Falcons get a touchdown, and then they get a stop and get the field goal for the win. But the Falcons had a franchise record 19 penalties to only 4 for the Bucs, and the Falcons won. The Falcons went for 2 idiotically when it was 28-20. They had 19 penalties tonight, and they still won this game. Because Baker Mayfield had a bad interception and then a bad incompletion to Igbuka. You know, Mike Evans returned tonight. He had a monster game. But let's talk about Kirk Cousins. 30 of 44, 373 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Vintage Kirk Cousins. You like that? You like that? You like that? Kirk Cousins, you like that? 30 of 44, oh my lord, 373. Kirk Cousins turning the clock back. So, give him some credit, man. What a game from Kirk Cousins. No, Tampa's defense isn't really all that great, but hey, Kirk Cousins can still ball. But let's talk about Kyle Pitts here tonight. At halftime, I believe, He had 6 catches, 110 yards, 2 touchdowns at halftime, I believe. So what a game from Kyle Pitts in the first half, and even then he still played great. Tonight, he had, how many catches? 11 catches, 166 yards, 3 touchdowns, 12 targets. On those 12 targets, had 11 receptions. He's the first tight end to have 150 plus yards and 3 touchdowns in a game since Shannon Sharp. And he's set to become a free agent this offseason. So far in 2025, with 3 games left, he has 73 catches, a career high, 797 receiving yards, and 4 touchdowns, also ties a career high. And he's set to become a free agent this offseason. He's kind of had poor quarterback play, kind of throughout his career in Atlanta, but he's having a good year this year, man. I feel like when he goes to another team, I feel like he'll explode. I feel like he had 4 touchdowns, scored 3 in one game, but he hasn't really had many chances with that offense. It's because it's mainly centered around Bijan. But Kyle Pitts, I think, can be a good player, like elsewhere, and put up better stats. But yeah, great game from Kirk Cousins and Kyle Pitts, and also Bijan. 19 runs, 93 yards, 4.9 a carry and a touchdown. Also had 8 catches, 82 yards. Really makes up for most of their offense with Atlanta. But as for Tampa, man, they've now lost 6 of their last 8 games, including back-to-back divisional losses to New Orleans and Atlanta, and the Panthers are now first place. So, remember when Baker Mayfield was in the MVP conversation earlier this season? Yeah, me too. It's just Todd Bowles. I don't know what they're gonna do with him. And they just let Kirk Cousins throw for 373 yards in 2025. You lose to teams like Atlanta and New Orleans. This is not a playoff team. And every time Baker throws to Buka, it feels like it's underthrown every single time. And I just don't think the Bucs aren't having fun right now. Remember, Baker was in MVP talks like 2 months ago. He threw this game, I thought, but the defense, Baker reeked, but so did the defense. Man, gave it like 370 yards. But yeah, Baker didn't play well. 19 of 34, 277, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Bucky Irving, 16 runs, 60 yards. Rashad White had 1 run, 20 yards. Tucker, 4 runs, 7 yards and a touchdown. Tyler Algier for Atlanta had 2 runs, 18 yards. Davis Sills made some big catches. 6 catches, 70 yards. Had the big 4th and 14 catch. Darnell Mooney, 3 catches, 35 yards. Charlie Warner, 2 catches, 12 yards. Charlie Crawl for Tampa. Mike Evans, 6 catches, 132 yards. Buka, 4 catches, 64 yards. McMillan, 2 catches, 38 yards. Chris Godwin, 4 catches, 20 yards and a touchdown. Bucky Irving, 1 catch, 11 yards. And Devin Culp, 1 catch, 6 yards and a touchdown. Atlanta had 3 fumbles, only 1 of them lost, 2 recovered. Tampa Bay had 1 fumble, 2 fumbles, but recovered both. The Atlanta defense had 5 sacks, 7 TFLs. The Atlanta defense had 1 sack and 2 TFLs. Zane Gonzalez 1 for 1 on field goals. Chase McLaughlin 2 for 2. Atlanta improves to 5-9. Bucks dropped to 7-7. Atlanta had 0 in the first quarter, 14 in the second quarter, 0 in the third quarter, 15 in the fourth quarter. The Bucks had 7 in the first quarter, 6 in the second quarter, 7 in the third quarter, and 8 in the fourth quarter. Team stats. Atlanta had 27 first downs, 5 for 11 on third down, 1 for 1 on fourth down, 66 total plays, 476 total yards, 7 yards of play. They had 19 penalties for 125 yards, 1 fumble, 31 minutes time possession. 19 penalties and still won this game. Insane. Tampa, 28 first downs, 4 for 9 on third down, 0 for 0 on fourth down, 61 total plays, 338 total yards. 4 penalties for 25 yards, 1 bump, 1 turnover with the interception, 20 minutes time possession. But yeah, what a great game, man. Finally a really good primetime game. Atlanta comes back, scores 15 points, unanswered points to get a 29-20 win on primetime. So that's really all I'm saying, man. So just let's move on to the news, and that's really all I'll say. Great game. But after that crazy football game there at the end, let's move on to some news. Let's talk about some Some more baseball. This is some stuff here. The Yankees, they've listened to offers on infielder Jazz Chisenhall, per Jeff Passion. I don't think anything's going to happen here. I'm pretty sure they're just probably listening to offers. I don't think they'll actually trade them. Definitely not. I don't see it happening. The Rangers are in quote in listening mode on shortstop Corey Seager, per Jeff Passion. Jeff Passan knows that Texas is not just looking to shed his contract, but will need to be overwhelmed to make a deal. They have to pick a side. He's an impact player when he's on the field. That's when he's on the field. One of the most interesting things Jorge Castillo heard this week in Orlando was that a Tarek Skubal trade is likely. So keep your notifications on your phone or whatever for a Tarek Skubal trade. The Dodgers starting pitcher Tyler Glasnow has come up in trade conversations, and LED's not opposed to moving him. For Skubal, I would do it, man. Love Tyler Glasnow, but if it's him and prospects for Tarek Skubal, that's hard to pass up, man. There was some other stuff, like the Miami Marlins have been engaged in trade conversations around Edward Cabrera. He said a second baseman is going to move, maybe multiple. There's too much interest in Ketel Marte, Brandon Donovan, Brandon Lau for a deal not to be consummated. There's some other guys like the Nationals starting pitcher Mackenzie Gore will be moved, possibly. So there's some MLB right there, some more MLB to end the night. Let's move on, see what wrestling we have. We're ending it off with the night with wrestling news. So via WrestleVotes Radio and Fightful, there are reportedly several people in power that want to see John Cena versus Gunther close. Saturday night's main event this weekend. Though the idea for the match to open the show has been floating around. Excuse me. If it opens the show, this company's even more stupid than I thought. Why is this even a question? John Cena's final match will be so dumb for it to open. How is this even in doubt? Cena has to be the main event, otherwise the crowd will be dead for the rest of the show. Not the fact that it's a bad card, but people are there to see John Cena. Italy will be hosting a WWE pay-per-view on Sunday, May 31st, 2026. The name for the show is up for debate via WrestleVotes Radio and Fightful Select. So they're going to have a pay-per-view in Italy on May 31st, 2026. Brock Lesnar bid farewell to John Cena with a "I Can See You" sign, and Roman Reigns bid farewell with a "Thank You, John" sign on WWE's YouTube channel, showing wrestlers paying tribute to Cena. Via PW Insider, WWE is reportedly working on some surprises for Saturday night's main event this weekend. We'll see. I'm kind of thinking The Rock, because remember, said your soul still belongs to me, you can't retire. It's got to be The Rock. It's the only way this makes sense, if there is a surprise. But yeah, it's the wrestling news. A little bit of news there to end it off here. So, yeah, that's really got to say. Leave a like, comment, subscribe for more. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.